All right, welcome back. Fantasy Football 101. This is the last general order. It's going to be some great value in here for you, and that's understanding and knowing the supporting cast of a player that you are drafting. There's a couple of examples that I want to use from a couple of seasons ago as understanding and supporting cast, and one that just sticks out to me, and especially as me being a Cowboys fan back in 2014 when DeMarco Murray ran for over 1,800 yards. A lot of that was attributed to the offensive line that he was running behind. Okay, so I share that with you because as you draft some of these running backs, you want to take a look at their offensive coordinators, their head coaches. Are they a pass first type organization or are they a run first type organization? Those things you need to pay attention to in terms of um, how your players that you're going to draft are going to be used, what their supporting cast is like around them that could help thrive them to the top and also thrive you to the top as well. So DeMarco Murray sticks out 2014 season. He rushed for over 1,800 yards. He's got that great offensive line there that he was running behind. And that's the same line that they're talking about with Ezekiel Elliott this year and why he's coming in ranked at number 9 on the ADP list. He's first on the depth chart for the Dallas Cowboys. And, I'll share that with you in the bonus information that you are able to download. There's a piece in there that I talk about Ezekiel Elliott and the hype there. So you don't want to miss that. Download it at the end of the course. Look at Antonio Brown over the last 3 years. He's been a top wide receiver on the board because of his serviceability, his production, his quarterback. He's got a great running back. And even when Le'Veon Bell was hurt last year, um, Williams stepped in there. D'Angelo Williams stepped in there and carried the load. And actually, I had D'Angelo Williams in one of my leagues, and he actually helped me get to a win because I had drafted him and kept him on the bench. And when Bell got hurt, I had him handcuffed as I talked about, and it paid off because he became the go-to guy. And man, boy, he performed at a high level. So that helps when the run game is there. The defense has got to kind of pack the box a little bit to stop the run game that opens it up for receivers like Antonio Brown, who's a stud. They got a quarterback in Big Ben that can throw it to him. So just understanding those little nuances of teams, who their supporting cast is, how it affects their production. You really have to become very good analysts of the game in terms of looking the players that you're drafting and how they're going to perform for you. Another one that stands out was the Chief defense. Their team defense in 2015, like I talked about, I had snatched them off the waiver. They carried me to the playoffs. They just had a great defense that just came alive there. And I mean that team, with Alex Smith being a good game manager that he was, Macklin was able to perform. Charkandrick West, who the backup was, and Spencer Ware to Jamal Charles, who I talked about in one of my other sections. Jamal's ranked at number 6. I mean, I would be handcuffing Charkandrick and Spencer if I were you. I wouldn't necessarily waste the first 2-round pick on Jamal Charles. Those injuries are there. He's tore that ACL a couple of times. So, understanding the supporting cast, that defense kept them from being behind and it allowed Alex Smith and that offense to perform. And that's another example that I want to use in knowing the supporting cast on that defense, how it helped that offense. So knowing head coaches, offensive coordinators, their philosophies, and a lot of times you just got to go with gut instinct. Like if you're a particular fan, like as a Dallas Cowboy fan, that I follow them very closely, rather than other teams, I'm probably going to know a little bit more about them as opposed to the other teams because that's just my team. But your gut instinct, you got to trust it, stick with it, because if you listen to these analysts and they tell you, hey, do this or do that, and you go do this and do that, and then it bites you in the tail, and guess what? Your gut instinct probably told you not to do it, but you changed it last minute. And we as fantasy footballers, and I say we because that includes me, have a tendency to outthink ourselves or overthink lineups, change them too many times, second guess ourselves. Hear one little video clip of somebody talking about a particular player, and we changed the lineup last minute. That how it burned me a couple of times last year, especially with Greg Olsen against Seattle, how he went off for 2 touchdowns and just they came back and won that game. Um, you'll never forget those situations. So just trust your gut instinct. You can live and die with your decisions. Like I said, at the end of that season, Gronkowski yesterday, he did knock me out. He had him on that team. But I should have done better earlier in the season to not be put in that position of managing my roster. So maybe I wouldn't have faced him in the first round and not have to worry about a big player like Gronk having a big game and then knocking me out of the playoffs. So know your supporting casts. And I use these as examples. And that's going to wrap up the 10th general order of the course. And we'll move into the bonus section. So we'll see you there.